Hey everyone, so in today's video, I'm gonna give you 7 tips to make your Bloxburg basement better. I still see a lot of people struggling with basements. At least we covered the basics thus far, which is how to create a roof over your basement or a ceiling over your basement that doesn't look weird. At least we're there yet. However, there's still a lot of errors with basements. We shouldn't treat basements the same as above floor level. So here are 7 tips on how you could make your basement better. Number 1. And I'm immediately starting with the most expensive one probably. I just wanted to get that one out of the way, but that is automatic lights. Now, if you place lights in your basement and your basement is not fully underneath your house, so your basement is, for example, bigger than your house is, and it comes through the grass, if you add lights in your basement and you leave them on, you can actually see patches of lights on the floor, which indicates that you clearly have a basement. And some people don't mind that, but I like to keep it realistic. Really like a perfectionist when it comes to that kind of stuff, and looking into your garden, seeing a light pop up through the floor is just kind of strange in my opinion. So automatic lights really help that, and a lot of people don't even know that automatic lights in Bloxburg exist. Now what these do is once you're in a room, they will turn on all of the lights in that room, but once you leave that room, they will turn off the lights again, so you will not see the light patches come through the floor in your basement, or at least on the floor level where you are trying to hide your basement from. Now these do cost block bucks, so make sure that you have block bucks for those because you cannot sell those. They go straight to your inventory, and of course the purchasing cost as well. Now the good thing about those is that if you have a room and you want to have automatic light, you can basically hide that light switch anywhere because you don't need to touch it. Everything goes automatically. So if you want to hide it, for example, behind a bookcase or behind a couch, whatever you put in your basement, you can hide it there and it will still register that you are in the room. So that's a really good thing about those as well. But that's a good way to hide light coming through the floor. Then number 2, if you really want to have fun with your basement or you plan on having main rooms in your basement, adding windows could be a good idea. So we have different types that we can add. We have the windows of like the British style where you just take a block of basement and you leave it exposed and you put a little fence around it and then you can put a window in there. I also showed a method a while ago where you can lower your floor to have windows in your basement, to have like tiny windows in your basement. I will link that video in the description of this video. But you can also just make underground rooms. For example, if you just create a little block of space that is covered by a ceiling so that you don't see it or that people don't jump into it, you can actually just create some light boxes, add a decal behind that, or create some scenery for like inside a basement. That is something that I really love to do. If I, for example, have a bedroom inside the basement, I like to create a window and then create some scenery behind that window just to make it look like you're really living in like a special basementy area, and it just adds so much fun to your builds. And this is something that I've made right here, and I don't know, I think it makes your basement just so much more worth it, and having something to look out to instead of just having a dark box definitely helps with not feeling as much as you're in a basement, or just adding something special to it, I guess. But again, if you want to keep it simple, you could just add decals behind that window and it will look fine as well. And I already mentioned this in number 2, but I do want to mention it again. So I made it a separate point, number 3, and that is playing around with basic shapes. Basic shapes are perfect for basements because you can create kind of like skylights and then hide that with kind of a wall that goes almost up to the ceiling level so that you still have light coming through, but if people walk over your plot and they see a skylight and they look through, that they cannot look inside your house, because that would be so weird if you're just sitting around in your basement. For example, you're role-playing and you're sleeping in your basement underneath the skylight and suddenly you see 3-4 people standing on top of that skylight. That would feel kind of uncomfortable. Even though you are in a game, it still feels uncomfortable if that happens. So you could make a skylight and then add like high fences around that or something, but you could also work around it in your basement itself. And then number 4, this is kind of an annoying one, but make sure that the driveway to your garage, if your garage is in a basement, which a lot of people do, I like to do that as well, make sure there is enough space. I see people using the 3-block ramps or the 3-block wide ramps and placing them against their garage door. And that doesn't really look good, but it's also really hard if you have a car in that garage to drive up and out of your house. So make sure that you leave enough room for your garage or the driveway to your garage, because that's kind of like the same thing as putting a stair and then right in front of that stair putting a door. That's just something that people don't do. I mean, if you want to keep it realistic, of course. If you don't want to keep it realistic or you don't care, do what you want, but make sure that there is enough room for your driveway, because having the stairs being too close to the garage door just kind of looks a little bit weird. Then number 5 is using the ventilation system. Now, it really depends on the style of basement you want to go for, but the ventilation system could help add some detail to your basement. So we have an entire ceiling vent thingy that you can make. You can create your own kind of pathway with it in a way, because we have like rounded parts, we have parts with vents built inside of them, and I think it could be a nice way to include them in your basement to give it a more industrial look and to just add something more to your basement. And if you really want to go for that basement feel, then these vents are kind of essential to add to your basement, because that is something that you would see in real life as well. And in my opinion, they are kind of made to be used in basement, especially if you, for example, have a restaurant. These things could be really nice for like cold fridges. Cold fridges, my god. Fridges are always cold. Anyways, for fridges and stuff like that, to add a cooling element or something like that, and then add a fog machine on top of that. That would just add some more depth to your basement, and I think that would help a lot of builds. However, if you go for a really minimal or modern look, I do think that these vents will kind of poke out and they will not really fit. So really keep in mind the style that you are building in, but I do think for some people it could really help. And then number 6 is don't put your main rooms in the basement unless it's your specific plan. Now, this doesn't happen a lot luckily, but I see a lot of people building a normal house and then adding a basement. For example, they have like a massive garage on the first floor of their house paired with a bedroom, and then in the basement they have their kitchen and their living room without windows, without any sort of natural light coming in. And it's kind of weird to see, because you have like a massive garage on top with your bedrooms and maybe some hobby rooms and stuff like that. No way into the backyard from your main rooms, and they're also kind of dark. So it's kind of weird putting your main rooms in your basement if you already have a full house on top of that. But if it's your specific plan to do that, feel free to do so. In real life, again, bringing in the real life aspect, I know it's a game, but I do like to keep it realistic, as I said before. I'm saying that many times because I usually get comments of like, it's just a game, let people do what they want. I'm letting people do what they want. This is just like a personal biased video, so everyone has their own opinion. Anyway, basements are more so used in real life for storage or for a trash room, for example, or a laundry room, maybe a man or woman cave, hobby rooms, gyms, just basically everything that you don't use a lot daily, but more so like extra rooms or storage rooms, stuff like that. That's what basements are used for. In Europe, basements are also used a lot for garages, because they were built underneath old houses where people didn't have cars back in the day, and you can't really just put a garage next to your house, because we have a lot of terraced houses and that's just not possible. So you see a lot of like garages in the basement level with a ramp that goes to it. And then at number 7, and I really do want to mention that secret doors are perfect for basements. You can have a secret door in your above floor levels, but some people might notice that something is off with your floor plan, where your house looks bigger on the outside than it does inside, because you do have secret rooms. But now with the secret doors that we have gotten that are the same material and color as the wall, so you cannot even see them, they are perfect for basements, because people don't really notice that there's something there. But you can make an entire room back there with like your most prized possessions, like all of your Bloxburg items or something like that, or just make a vault or a secret bedroom if you, for example, roleplay a lot and you just want to have peace and quiet, or you put a camera room in there where you put your computers and there you look at your cameras, or you want to hide from friends, which happens more often than you think. A lot of people want to hide from their friends if their friends join their server, so that could be a perfect room to get your moods up and still stay in the game while your friends are there but act AFK. I know I should not recommend this at all. This is probably toxic, but I know a lot of people do that. I know a lot of people want to hide if their friends join because they want to be left alone. So I'm just helping a hand to those people. But anyways, those were 7 tips to make your Bloxburg basement better. Let me know if some of these helped you, if you learned something new. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button and please subscribe.